told me 11, like I was on
You're gonna make it.
I hope so. I have a human design afterwards. I have to go. Leaving at human design is like 2:30. It's going to be in a rush. And I said, I can't take a laptop because we have this in a digital thing. So then I'm like, so hard from my
Big
computer.
crowd today.
And that's kind of
There's still 4 people missing as well. There's 2 people.
especially when I'm too.
You need to make this a lot worse.
Too
successful.
I think everybody sucks in their systems.
And I'll make sure everything is already ready. So I'll just drop it to my.
Might have to make the circle a little bit bigger. We'll see, because these 2 are going to walk in. But I'll give you some instructions for what we're going to do with the piece of paper. Hello, welcome. Thanks for coming. Do you have a piece of paper? Pen? No? Okay, cool. So, for those of you who haven't, so you're gonna write 2 things down. It's gonna be a small little thing, just so you can have it like really small. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna rip it out as well. And then we're gonna like have a snowball fight and then just like read it after. So it'll be kind of cool. But the one thing that we're gonna ask. So what you're gonna write is life simple or complex, and you're gonna write either simple or complex. What you believe is life simple or complex.
Oh, that's way more.
And then so you write your answer down, simple or complex, and then you're gonna write your favorite thing you love about life, and then we're just gonna throw them across the room, and we're gonna share. So it's kind of anonymous.
You need to write why simple.
You don't need to, unless you want to explain other people's answers.
I don't know, man.
We have a lot to go through today, and this discussion could be really big. So I just want to make it kind of brief. So just write down simple or complex. Is life simple or complex? And then you're gonna write down your favorite thing about life.
You want to elaborate more on the prompt?
No.
Well, depending where, you know.
That's what comes to your head. Whatever comes to your head.
Oh my god.
You got some paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't get it to me, but I got it.
Yeah. Hello. You have any paper, son?
Sorry?
You have paper and pen?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hey, Sam, you're too uncomfortable, you know? Someone's space for you.
You can come in, but I'm gonna write some stuff on the board as well. Oh yeah, I forgot. So Sash, what we're doing is you're writing down is life simple or complex? Just the answer simple or complex, and then your favorite thing about life. And then after you finish it, crumple up into a little ball. And then I'll give you announcements and we'll just throw it across the room and start to share them, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I love you. I love it. You're writing so much. Oh my god.
I'm curious what people think.
Have to mess up something, of course.
New classes.
Not too serious.
Finally.
What's your favorite thing about life? Yeah. If you could choose one, your favorite thing. Yeah, but it's, you know, just a fun little thing. But the first question is more important for this workshop, for this topic. It also gives answers for what systems you have subconsciously.
Actually, I knew how.
So yeah, if you finish, just crumple it up. And don't be shy. This is a snowball fight, okay? We have snow. You know, you can take cover behind someone, you can use a shield.
The ice balls.
So we throw it each other. Or
Yeah, yeah.
how
And then each person will just pick one up, a random one, and then we'll just go around the room and read them very briefly. Not yet.
Someone else press the red button.
You
Someone
cheater!
has to be the first one.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make sure everyone's finished though.
Might end up wearing somewhere there.
You got it done? Okay.
I got one already.
Just ready, get your hand ready. We're about to just hit someone with a nice big old snowball. Alright, 3, 2, 1, snowball!
Who's that?
Just throwing the bracelet.
Oh, it's mine.
Alright, the second one.
You're the second one.
I have two.
Aww.
I'm sorry.
Some there.
There you go.
Can we open it on the way?
Yeah, open them.
Ah,
Paper airplane, yeah, next time we'll do paper airplanes.
It's empty.
It's empty.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
How simple is that?
That's so cool.
That is the perfect answer.
That's a perfect answer.
You have a blank slate, that's your favorite thing about life. You have an open book, you know?
It's okay.
Who would like to go first? Who wants to read theirs? Who's the coolest, they think?
I don't have any.
You don't have any? I don't have any either. Maybe the paper airplane.
You can have this one.
Yeah.
I'll get the
I
plane.
think you give you one.
George, you look like you're happy. What is your say?
Choose yourself.
I'm really trying to decode a word. What's this?
Is it Russian? Like
I was gonna go.
Can be. I was thinking as well, yeah.
Alright.
Does that sense?
It's simple. Life is simple. It's simple as complex. I like that it can be simple.
Okay.
Smart as
Clearly they do.
Okay, cool.
This is simple.
Yeah, that's super easy for you. You
Well,
like to
I can agree with this one. So somebody said complex. I love the beauty of nature and love and mysteries of the universe. So I mean, life is complex by itself, by its DNA, I would say. But life is simple when it comes to living it.
Yep. I love this answer. Yeah, I love this answer. Anyone over here has a cool one?
I have very enigmatic, very easy.
Yeah, let's hear.
2 words. Complex and different. I want to analyze.
Perfect. Complex and different, yeah?
2 words, simple. Complexly simple and simply complex.
There we go. Ida, what is yours say?
I love that life is filled with so many opportunities to evolve and gain awareness about why we are here and how we can use our existence to make the world a better place. Although we have to fight so many distractions, while finding our purpose is worth it.
Wow.
Deep.
Is that
Yeah.
that was complex?
Yeah, it's complex.
Uh-huh.
So,
Who else wants to share?
I can read mine.
Yeah?
It says simple, follow flow and enjoy life, follow the sun and good food.
Ooh.
love that.
Mhm. And that, you
trying to read it, but simple humans overcomplicate it. And then this one is lovely, waking up every morning with my fiance.
Oh,
We have a lot to
beautiful.
do.
Oh.
I kind of have an idea. But
Not my words, not my words.
I got simple, finding meaningful connection with like-minded people.
Complex but not complicated. Being able to feel and see all of it.
Ooh.
All of it.
We're getting a little, this is what I was hoping is kind of like a 50-50, you know, like a back and forth of like simple and complex, simple and complex. There's a little bit of some interesting thoughts behind it, because if you think life is, I think life is very simple, but the way, like to act on what seems to be the good choice is, it's quite simple, but to actually act on it sometimes, that's the actual thing that makes things complex, because there's so many things involved in making decisions. And so today, we're talking about systems. There's 5 areas of your life where you can create systems in. And these are the ones that we'll focus on. And by the end of this today, I have a template. We can't go into all of them, but it would be ideal for you to create one in each area. So we have decisions. We have mental models. We have well-being. We have productivity. And what was the last one? And then just growth development. Okay. And these are the things that we're going to go over today. Today's going to be a little bit of a different workshop than what we're used to. Hi, guys.
Oh, wow, so many people.
Wow, hello everyone.
Hello, guys.
Hey, beautiful.
No.
How are you?
So, usually what we have in our workshops is a lot of activities, but today there's going to be a little bit more of like me talking, and I would love for you guys to chime in.
Oh no, you're gonna talk about.
Yeah. I mean,
Usually don't talk a lot.
no, usually I do not talk a lot, and sometimes I want the room to create discussions, but this is something where it's more or less, it's not like an open-ended thing. It's more of like something that's kind of structured, that this is where things are important. And so these are the areas that we need to have priority when we're creating systems. Does this make sense? Do you think there could be any other ones that you could add to this? When you're creating a system in your life, you can have decisions and how you make decisions. You can have mental models and how you think towards things. You can have your well-being and how you are physically and health and your health, right? Productivity, how much work you're getting done, and then your growth. How are you like intellectually getting smarter?
Only intellectual?
Huh?
Only mentally? Like what do you mean? Like growth development just as mental?
Yeah. Just how are you getting smarter?
Only that.
How are you growing more wise? Yeah.
Fulfillment, enjoyment.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
That for me is, if it's not enjoyable to them, I'm not even gonna look at it.
Well, that's all of them together.
Yes, that's the purpose. Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
We laugh at it.
Well, that can be a mental model, how you approach.
Yes, very true as well. It could also be a mental model, because that's the way that you're getting motivated and you're looking at things. It's how you're approaching every situation that comes to you. It's like, hey, am I fulfilled with this? Is this making me happy? But that's for sure a mental model. And so, I think the first one we should start off with is the mental models. But I also do want to ask the group, which one here is most important to you? I just kind of want to get a consensus so we can talk about that more.
Mental models.
Can you explain
I mean,
mental
mental models
models for a
always
second?
Mental models could be like it's the way that your self-image is. This is what we're going to talk about, and how you are thinking about things. You're mentally.
So I think that mental
attention.
models probably going to play a big role.
Okay.
I would say decision, because everything stems from decision.
Yeah.
Once you decide, then you can trust the other aspects.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all of them, great.
He just asked what I know.
I mean, all of this has to do with is tools, habits, and routines. This is what systems are. Does everyone know how to build habits? We've talked about this before, but there's this thing called the habits loop. You can go home and look this up eventually, but we're not going to talk about this today. So when we talk about mental models, this is the first thing that we're going to be talking about today. Has anyone ever read the book Psycho-Cybernetics?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a really good book.
Very good book. Very, very good book. Inside the book, he calls something called the creative mechanism. This is essentially what you call your success mechanism, or your success system. And so this is the mind's ability to find solutions and be able to achieve anything that it's goal-oriented, because we're all goal-oriented human beings. We are human beings, right? No one here is an alien? Okay, cool. The thing is, with being a human, we're very goal-oriented and we're trying to achieve something. It could be having a relationship. You know, you can say that men are more goal-oriented than women, but it's not always necessarily true. Maybe in the work and productivity side of things and trying to make a living. But in reality, there's goals that women also try to achieve as well. And so humans are very goal-oriented, and these are the types of models that we need to create. And so this the success mechanism is when it comes to the subconscious mind and how you're looking at things through your subconscious mind. And so we can all think of ourselves in a certain way. This is what we call a self-image. And the self-image is the one thing that will tell you if you're going to be successful or not. It's going to run your subconscious mind. It's going to run it to the ground, or it's going to run it straight up into success, whatever your success is. And so this means that you have to have an ideal version of what you think of yourself to be. So you could say, for example, because inside of this book, he gives examples of, say, a student. They're failing students, they have Fs, they're not good at math, and they talk to themselves, they have a self-image of, I'm not good at math. As soon as you create this different image, different self-view, in this person that's saying they're having Fs and failing in their math class, they can all of a sudden succeed in that math class. And you can see, because of the people that were worked on, they all of a sudden had A's. They weren't F's anymore because the self-image changed. Who has had this experience in their life where once their self-image was complete shit, and then all of a sudden changed, and you are now, yeah? Could you, okay. I mean, if you would like to share, I would just love to open up discussion about this, because this is a really, really important topic, because this is literally how you achieve everything based on how you think about yourself. Sure.
I used to be the complete opposite of what I am now. I used to be very, very incredibly painfully shy. Not even zero, but negative self-esteem. Because I have a big nose, no hair, I used to be fat. So zero self-confidence, and then I realized it's not about that. It's about my experiences, my gifts, my wisdom, knowledge gifts, and then started sharing them. And it's been a long journey for me, but finally I've come on the other side. But that I will not change, because that's who I am. It's our gift. Our crap is our gift, so to speak. Don't throw that away, because that's what you learn and you become the person you're meant to be. And that's what I did, and now I'm glad I will not change anything about it. And now I'm inspiring that to inspire my students around the world, and to become the best version of me every day I can. Just using 1% each day. What kind of today is going to make me 1% better from yesterday. My competition is not no one else's version of me of yesterday. Now I can become just 1% better.
Laying a brick as perfectly as you can lay it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you lay every brick as best as you can every single day, what do you have?
Yeah, exactly.
A wall, or a house,
Or a palace.
or a palace,
Or a mansion.
or a castle.
Or a kingdom.
Yeah, exactly, right? It can always be more. This is a completely different
Or a bunch of bricks.
Or a bunch of bricks.
What you gonna do with all the bricks? You know?
But yeah,
So your point is that mental models create identity,
yeah,
and so identity change behavior.
yes,
And so so what would be your approach to creating mental models? So it's like a principles.
yeah.
So you're laying down principles. Let's say if X happens, what would be my approach to Y?
Mm-hmm.
And then based on that, you're going to do certain behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And
This takes a long time to develop.
yeah.
This kind of is involved in decisions. You can it's not exactly the same thing, but through this you see I keep so this is gonna happen first, and then based on what you think, what thoughts you come to, you then will make a decision. But this also is important to this is the first step into creating the best decision as well. It's to having a good mental model, having a good idea of what it is your optimistic mind, your positive mind is approaching that situation. And to have a good self-image, that's the whole thing about actually, a lot of people, they say you can do it with meditation and visualization. I think it's very possible. I've done that as well for myself. It's been very, very helpful. And thinking into the highest version of what I'm grateful for, living that experience as I am already being right now, the best self I can be. This allows me to then be that highest version of myself, right? In every moment. So to live so intentionally in a mental model to create a system, so to explain it in a way, I'll explain to you the template of how we'll go about this later. And this is we're going to create this. We can use it for the mental model. We can use it for decisions, well-being, productivity, either of these. But I want to go through each of them to kind of get a broad idea of which one is the most important to you. And then we can actually start to create the whole system.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So when it comes to all of these 5 steps,
They're not really
there's
steps,
like,
but yeah.
okay, 5. Okay, let's say. But well-being, productivity, growth, development can all be laid down in mental models because those are all principles. And so I think decisions and mental models. So you need mental models first, and then decision to apply them. So, but well-being, productivity, and growth development can all be applied. So I'm just curious, what can you cut here in order to even simplify it?
Yeah, I mean, of course you could simplify it as well, but the thing is people want to just focus on certain well-being. I mean, yes, you can make the best decisions of your life, and you'll be able to live an amazing life if you just know how to make better decisions for yourself. It's as simple as that. But why do you not make good decisions? Because of the mental model, right? It's like the self-image is there. That's blocking you from achieving something or doing something. It's like, oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. That could be to be in your health or your productivity, or if you want to just grow your knowledge. It does have to do with decisions, but when you want to come down to actually creating a system, like, okay, I just want to focus on being more healthy and more strong. And how can I have the habits and routines and the tools to create a healthy well-being? How can I have the habits and the tools and the routines to have good productivity and have a high success output? And same with all these other ones. These are same with this. This is the one that's kind of like, these two are the most complex, but they're the most important.
So can I ask you a question? So let's say well-being.
Sure.
Principle, I eat only healthy food, so forth.
This is a mental model, right?
So that's a mental model. So if that's a mental model already, principle, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Maybe it can be a date or whatever, and then if you apply that to decision, so it's already, so in my mind, I'm just trying to determine if I'm wrong or right. So well-being, it can be easy go to mental models. Because let's say productivity, I want to have 3 hours every morning without any distractions. And that can be a mental model. And so
I think a mental model is a deeper thing. Like this, how you perceive yourself. And if you perceive yourself as a guy that take his time as a valuable thing, you will treat yourself this way because your mental image is going to be representing in the real world. So it's
I'm
like
just trying to separate that, but I think you're right. So mental model is more about self-image rather than other principles when it comes to well-being, productivity, and
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying earlier. That has to do with the self-image first. What?
One thing I can summarize to say, one of the main reasons I was able to change my life was changing my story, the story I'm telling myself.
yeah,
Right.
The story there's a cheesy line says, change your story, change your life.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very powerful. But you tell yourself all day long, especially when you're alone,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not competent, I'm not good enough, who am I? This is what's holding you back.
Right.
Change your story. How to change your story? By controlling the words you entertain in your mind, by being careful not to let negative words come to you, and also because what you entertain here is what you speak, and what you speak, that's what you manifest. This is not cheesy. I've seen it in my life. It's in the life of the people I work with. So again, it's starting with here. I'm not saying this is what you need to do, but I'm saying this is what I did to change my life. It's all here. Change the story, tell yourself all day.
You know, most stories that we have with ourselves, they
Yes.
I just had a conversation with Nana, that most of the stories that we have about ourselves, they're formed at a very fucking young age.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how we perceive success, how we perceive money, how we perceive love, how we perceive our self-worth. We make this model when we're like 8 years old or 10 years old. And you know, right now none of us is 8 years old, but we still, most of us, until you fix it, we still live by the mental model of an 8 years old figuring out life. And I think that the deeper work to do, that's a very good thing to actually, you know, think about our thoughts, but our thought is a conscious thing. And the story is more subconscious thing, because it's running in the background. And one thing that I've done, and I think it's beautiful to do, is to ask yourself, how did you came up with a story about success? What's success for you, and what age, and what made you think this? And sometimes you're gonna find out that the stories that you have about success, or about like how you perceive success, or how you saw yourself successful in the future, is a fucked up mental model that got nothing to do with reality, because you're an 8 years old dude or girl that makes sense of life because it's something your mom told you when you were 8 about success, and you're like, oh my god, it's stuck. But until you see the story,
Or if you're always told, don't do that, you can't do that, or you can't afford that.
yeah.
As a kid, be careful what you say to your kid once you get kids.
You can, because you cannot always be conscious. Like I like something that happened with me that I remember, that my mom once told me, like, you're smart. I was like 8 years old or 7, and I hated doing homework because who the fuck loves doing homework? And she told me, you're a very smart guy, but if you're not gonna do your homework, you're gonna get stuck with the brain of a 7 years old when you're gonna be 30. And that shit stuck with me, because I'm like, yeah, it's a stupid thing. And she said, she was not mean, and she just was, in other words, she said, do your fucking homework. That's what she said.
Did it work?
No.
As you can see.
No, it didn't. I still have a 7 years old.
Thank you,
brain,
Mom.
but- no, but it's life. But the thing is that until you come and say, okay, because who the fuck think about this? But when you sit for and consciously think about this story, so you find out that, okay, for me, I've done this specific work on a bit of, let's say, an early age. I did it from 18. I found out that I have this mental model, but this is a mental model that came with me until I was 18, until I fixed this, and I felt like I'm not smart enough because
You were stuck in a...
because I was stuck, you know.
You didn't do your homework.
Honestly, I didn't do my homework, and I'm stuck. And right now, I'm like 18 with a 7 years old brain. It's not that literally like that. You feel like you're, you know, it's a little bit more complex than this. But I felt not good enough, and the source of not good enough is because I haven't done the homework, and then I got stuck with a 7 years old. And it's a weird fucking story. It's a weird mental model.
Yeah.
But until you resolve this model, you're gonna have some issues.
Mm-hmm. So the whole mental model, this is just like where, so these areas that you can focus on, you can just focus on mental models just to be more happy with yourself. But you can focus on the well-being to be more healthy, productivity, more successful, growth, development, smarter decisions. I don't want to mess around and have sex with random people anymore. Right? Decisions.
That's what you want, son.
You're projecting.
No.
Oh my god.
No.
Are you sure?
Came from
Don't put your words. Don't put your words in my mouth.
I was about to say that.
You said it, I didn't say it.
You were the first to laugh.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But one way to actually create a really strong mental model, I've gotten this from David Meltzer. He does this thing called, it's just like the 5 daily practices. So knowing your what, knowing your, what was it, how? Who,
Who, where.
now. Oh, this is how. Yeah. I read it. And then now. And then how to apply the why. So what you can do is every single day, you're going through these. So I'll read to you what I took note on. So knowing your what is taking inventory of what you want for the day and doing it every day, right? Factor in your core values. And what is it like, what do you want to give to others and what would you like to receive? For an example. Knowing your who, figuring out who can help you and who you can help. Knowing your how, like how am I going to get this all done? Becoming a student of your calendar. And then knowing your now. What is like a lot of the times it's like indecision, right? Indecisiveness. And so just what's the 100% of the things I can just get done right now? And so this is how you develop a do it now strategy. And then how to apply my why. So just remembering your thoughts of your purpose and your passions and why you're on this earth. What's your ignition statements and keep seeing how you can apply that. How is it being used? Just keep talking about your why. What?
Being used.
Yeah, used. So spend time looking at these every single day, and you will start to create the mental model that you are like the healthy mental model. Okay? I'll leave this here for now, and we'll move on to decisions. So we talked about this a little bit ago. About decisions. We talked about this a little, like very briefly, but I think we can talk about it a lot more because it's actually really, really helpful. And so, basically, decisions are one of the most important things, I would say, ever. Because what you make a decision on is where you're, well, basically how your life is being.
We know.
Yeah. So, the idea is to write down all of the decisions that you have in front of you. Small decisions and big decisions. And so then what you're trying to understand is the patterns and the processes or the principles for you making these decisions. When you have something that's in front of you and you need to make a decision, it's like, okay, because maybe there was a certain person we talked about this a few weeks ago when Nex was discussing about a guy. Okay, so say you're at a bar and you're drinking with someone and this person is like, hey, let's can I drink more? So this is a certain thing that's approaching you. You have a certain outside thing, right? And so what's happening is that this is now up to you to make a decision. But what are your principles? And so to understand what your principles are is how have you already acted before on situations like this? And so by you getting an understanding of your principles, you then can say, okay, well, I'm not going to take one. Or am I just indecisive? And I was, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to feel it. It's like, also sometimes indecisiveness is still a decision.
Yeah.
So to make a decision is sometimes a scary thing, a really, really scary thing. But, we'll talk about this in a second with the paradox of choice. It's a really, really interesting concept. But, so, these are the questions for basically why you would want to make a decision or how to create your principles, okay? So, why, right? Why did I make a decision? What are the criteria? So what was the situation? What's the situation? How did you feel?
There's music, right?
Yeah, there is music.
thought it was in my head.
Something mental.
They're confirming with every human. They're all here there, right?
Her voices, huh?
You have a healthy mental
Before it was
model?
not there, you know.
Who was?
So wow,
Yeah, completely.
So these are the basics of how you get to understand your principles for your decisions. Why did I make that decision? What was the situation for this decision? How did I feel about making this decision? Because this is like what you do after. You don't do it before making the decision, because you can't really like write this down. Well, we have a decision to make, unless you know it's like a big decision. Yes, you can write these down. But if you know you're at the bar and like, hey, 1 second, let me just write some stuff down. You can't really like, you can't do that.
Every weekend.
You can't just like, let me
Just give me a moment. Pros, cons.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen. So this is something to do afterwards, right? Like, so you had a big night out or whatever it is. It's like, okay, why did I make this decision? What was the situation? How did I feel about it? What kind of decision was it? Was it just me pushing my boundaries? Was it doing something hard, that kind of thing? And did it like make sense? Is it okay? Is it ethical, right? And so you're just basically looking at all the reasons why something matters to you. And this is how you kind of want to look at it. So,
But this is stuff you do like retroactively speaking?
Yes.
You always look, okay.
so after each decision, you would look at this, and then you start to come up with principles for how you make. And this is what I was about to explain. It's like, so, say for this guy that you're at the bar with, this guy, we'll just call him a snake. Okay, in this case.
Or John.
Okay, but I want to use it as a species of an animal for making it more clear.
Okay.
So we'll say that this guy is a snake, okay? And then say you have someone that comes to you with a business opportunity, okay? Or just, it could be any type of decision, but it's just a different person, or, sorry, it just could be any, I don't even know, I'm blanking on decisions right now. Just to go to the gym or something external, like, hey, like, do I want to,
Cut carbs or cut sugars.
carbs? Sure.
Yeah.
And so, basically what you're looking at is like, okay, this guy's the snake, and the carbs is, I guess you could say,
It's
a
a
mouse.
mouse.
Yeah, it's a mouse. And so, what you're looking at is, okay, so a snake just approached me. How do I react to the snake? How do I approach the snake? Because you will take a snake by the head, right? You'll try, if it's in like this kind of extreme situation, you would take the snake by the head and you would just throw it away. If it's a mouse, you'll pick it up by the tail, whatever it is.
I would fucking run from that.
Okay, sure, you can run. You can run. If it's a cheetah or a bear, yeah. The point is, it doesn't really matter what you would do, but that's the important thing, is what you specifically would do. So the action of what you do for this specific species, it's like if it's a bear, okay, obviously I'm gonna fucking run. Okay. If it's a mouse, I'm just gonna, you know? This is just a really quick reaction, but if you wanna actually make a decision, it's like, okay, how do I approach this mouse? How do I approach this snake? How do I approach this bear?
Do not run from the bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Never run from the bear, alright?
Don't play the dead, depending on which type of bear.
You didn't choose the bear or
Grizzly, good night.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, you can talk about
Don't
bears
run
next
from
time. Okay, so this is how you get to understand your principles. These principles are each of these species. And understanding, okay, everything that comes in your way is these different species. There's many of these. There's many different kinds of
So
decisions.
you need to make mental models for animals?
This is not, the animals is just a figure of speech. It's a way to create this.
Okay.
It's to just to kind of explain it to you in your head. Because there's going to be different types of species. If it's an eagle, if it's a bird, it's just different people, situations, external environment reactions that are happening that you need to be able to confront and make a decision on. How am I going to attack this? How am I going to approach this? How am I going to approach this? And so by you understanding, okay, after that first scenario with the snake, you just ran away from the snake, okay, maybe a snake will approach you again, and you try to do something different. You get to understand more and more about how these decisions, and eventually these decisions start to become,
Automated.
yes. And this is, I mean, what you really want. But however, say you were to have a snake, a bear, and a mouse all in front of you. All right. Okay, so this is what happens is what we call the paradox of choice. Anyone know this? Anyone know about the paradox of choice? So basically, there was a case study done. There was an experiment done, and what happened was there was these people who were selling jelly. They were selling jam at their store, and what they did was, for a week, they decided to lay out 25 different kinds of jelly.
Oh, I heard about this. Nice.
Yeah. So they decided to lay out 25 different kinds of jelly and see how many people would buy the jelly. So what happened is more people were intrigued by just how much jelly there was. There was just a really interesting thing. So, oh my gosh, so much jelly. But what percentage of people actually bought it was really low.
Yeah.
If you were to then look at a
Too much
week
options.
later, yes, we'll explain this in a second. You will look at a week later, they lay out 3 different options.
It's nice.
They didn't have as many customers and be like, oh wow, it's so like, this is so cool. You have 3 kinds of flavors. No, it's obviously more intriguing if you see 25 different flavors of jelly. But they had more sales on the 3 different jellies. And this is because of the thing we call the paradox of choice. And when there's too many options, this can lead to anxiety, depression, dissatisfaction. And when you're looking at things, when you say I were to choose this one of the 25, it's like, oh, maybe, this thing, I think this will be good. But you also have 24 different options that you could choose from.
Imagine when girls go to do their nails and they do their nails wrong.
It's true, it's
Oh
hard.
my god,
I
what
know.
anxiety goes like.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's true, but it's true.
And so then you were like, oh, once I take this and I leave, it's like, and then I try it at home, oh, what if that peanut butter
Other one.
what if that was better? And so you're basically you're countering yourself, and you're going back on your decision, and you're getting unsatisfied with that decision that you just made because there's too many. This can also happen.
But again, generally we are overwhelmed with options. So let's say you go anywhere, people think by expansion line of products, you're going to sell more. I can tell you how I apply it in my personal life.
Yeah, I would love to hear.
Whenever I go to a restaurant, I usually ask waiter to offer me what's the best, but I say what they like. And also we started business a few months ago, and so we have only 5 products, and I literally by that book, Paradox of Choice.
Yeah.
So cutting inefficiencies, like that's why I ask you, can all of these go into mental models? Okay, probably.
Yes, they can.
Yeah. So, and by cutting inefficiencies and having less decisions to make, so there's less room for error. And so that way, you have more probability of making success in some, like even deciding what food you're going to eat.
It's confusion, yes. Confused mind doesn't take any action.
And it's like our
It's
basis
energy,
is,
you know?
our basis as humans is to have, like, we really want to have freedom, but actually having the freedom is actually killing us, because once we have the infinite freedom, we don't make any choice.
Yeah.
What happens if you reduce the choices too much? Like what if you go like 20 is overwhelming, 5, 3 is okay, but what if you go down to 2? Because that would feel.
Then you would be in a communism.
So
I
don't know.
You will know when it's too much, but based on when you start to get anxiety, and you're like, oh, because even when you're house hunting in Vietnam, you get this paradox of choice very easily.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy to have happen. You know, you see hundreds of apartments and you're like, oh, which one do I want? And then, but it's like also you want to see what better options are out there. Of course, that's just kind of a natural thing. It's like, oh, I could have more, I could have better, right?
Now,
That
what
makes
is your
sense.
system when it comes to, you have many options, which one to go for?
That's very subjective for me. It's based on my values. All
Well, it
that-
can be based on mental models. So let's say
Right.
let's say
That's-
you have
yeah.
let's say you have, I don't know, you go to Booking and you see hundreds of apartments. You have filters on the left side which are your
Yes.
mental models.
Yeah.
I don't know, you want pool,
Nice.
you want backyard, you want whatever garden.
Yeah.
And based on those filters, which are your mental models, you have,
And values.
It's a nice way of looking
yeah,
at it.
you have
Mhm.
way less choice.
Mhm. You get to be more specific about what you
Or-
want. You're aligning what you want.
Or there's another way. So what I like to do, I take the one that has the most reviews. Because I want other people to choose for me. I don't have to make decisions. So
Makes it a little bit easier for you.
Smart thing to do.
Dangerous though.
A little
Yeah.
side by of the reviews, it's a paid job.
Especially in English.
It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
paid
yeah,
job
no,
for
so
doing
that's-
these reviews.
Hello, what should I eat
Don't
for
trust them all.
breakfast?
It's 5% off, just, write a review of like.
So you gotta be
It's
careful.
lying, I'm lying,
So not all the reviews are real.
Yeah.
yeah, so if you go to Lazada, so let's say I was deciding
Oh my
about
God,
I was
Lazada.
deciding about lemon squeezer. So I'm not kidding. I just took the one that has the most reviews, but it was 4.9.
Jump.
Yeah.
Simple decision.
Yeah.
And it was good, it was good.
It's good, yeah, I love it. Lemon
You should
squeezer.
try it.
Yeah.
This is again, like you said, like has to do with the
It's
mental
pretty
models,
inside.
because this is a confirmation bias.
Yeah.
That's a mental model as well.
And everybody has a confirmation bias. We cannot escape it because it helps us, live on this planet Earth.
Mhm.
So everybody, you will have your confirmation bias. I will have my confirmation bias based on my previous experience, and you cannot escape it.
Mhm.
So
I mean, it's easier to go with the consensus because that's just like you don't have to put effort into making a decision. But this is the importance of creating your principles for making decisions, so that way it doesn't take that much effort. And that's why like we need these systems in place to not have so much energy being spent on stupid things. Because this is like this is why we're having this discussion, is because it takes so much effort to make decisions. And just having just these stupid thoughts of our self-image and all these things, it's like, it's so exhausting, right? I know all of us have felt it. I felt it so much in my life as well. It's about understanding your principles of how you make these decisions. And one of the best ways I would say is understanding, like to answer George's questions even more, is just understanding you're good enough. A scale of 1 to 10. Okay, how satisfied am I with this? How satisfied do I want to be? It's like, again, with your filters, it's like, okay, do all these filters give me a 7 or an 8? Am I okay with an 8? Because how likely are you going to actually have a 10? It's a very, very small case, but we always assume that we can have a 10.
So would you say with
Yeah,
wells,
Yeah, you can. It's just based on how you would think about it.
But there's a mental model that can be applied that I like to use. So let's say for certain thing takes certain amount of time, and that's like good enough, 80%. But for perfection, 100%, it takes 5 times more, or just 20% more increase.
Mhm.
So just
The
based on
Pareto
the-
effect.
just
The
going
Pareto,
by.
yeah, the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily applied, but let's say you want to choose apartment. So what is good enough based on your criteria, but if you choose to go more, to spend more time on finding perfection, it's going to take you 5 times more because you will need to go through all of these other bookings now to see apartments, to see
You can
pictures.
delegate it.
But also at the same time, you get to a place where what we call the law of diminishing returns.
Oh yeah.
But can also apply the same principle apply in startups, like the MVP rule.
Yeah.
Just make a decision and then learn on the process.
Yeah, you can make a decision. Hey, I don't need a pool, or I'm just gonna, the first house I see, I want to buy it. But it's because, it's because we have it's such entitlement.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I want the best. I deserve the best. Yes, of course you do. I 100% agree. Everyone here deserves the absolute best. But it's not always the case. You have to be kind of real with yourself. Your ego just is too high. And mine too. I've been trying to work ever since I've been in Southeast Asia. I've been trying to lower and lower and lower my ego. And it's hard. It's really hard.
But what do you mean? Lowering your ego? Like lowering your standards?
Yes.
Just mean, okay.
Your expectations,
Okay,
your
yeah.
entitlements.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But it's not
You
a
have
must.
to, you have to.
No.
It's a matter of preferences.
It is,
Because
yes,
I heard it. You can say, I'm not willing to live in a house that doesn't have a pool, and a guard.
This is
and-
why it's
and
the scale of
minimum
1 to
50.
10.
Yeah, but it's really a matter of preferences.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, what is good enough for me? So give yourself a scale, okay, does this at least hit a 7 for me, this house? No?
But then there's a really good point that you said, diminishing returns.
Mhm.
My friend has a really good phrase, especially when people going out. So at a certain moment during the night, you're going to hit the peak. But afterwards, it's just diminishing returns. So what he likes to say, we just reached the peak, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
That's smart, yeah.
And I started doing that.
That's a really good
so
mental.
I was out last night, I was
System.
like, diminishing returns,
Yeah.
I'm going home. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. Continue. People go to after party and stuff, but
Yeah,
just waste of time.
that's, but my parents are the same, you have to leave just right after sleep. Having the best memories. Yeah.
It's a really good system to have. I love it.
I mean, I started, I didn't write that principle, I'm going to definitely write it down.
It's basically, it's applied inside of the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Because eventually,
Can you explain a bit more on this?
so, okay, if we were to look at a production agency, somewhere that's in like manufacturing, let's see, maybe I can draw it over here. Nana, you're gonna have to write something new this time.
Okay, I love you for no reason.
I mean, I can give you a really good example of diminishing
Yeah, but I
returns.
like to, I know how to do it, but I just want to visualize it.
Hey, take a picture for your resume, okay?
I've already taken many
Ah,
pictures.
okay.
But okay, so if say you were to be inside of a factory, okay? At some point during the time inside of the factory, you have all these, there's a certain amount of a quality and the quantity that is getting outputted at a certain rate, at a certain time. You can have 5 pieces being produced every hour, whatever it is. And then at a certain point, because of the energy being taken out of putting into that, creating that little piece, if it's not, say, like a robot that's making this, you will hit a point where eventually these people are getting tired, and then it will start to go down. And this area is we call the law of diminishing returns.
It can be seen in crypto.
In crypto?
Yeah. So in crypto,
Yes, it's
diminishing returns are visible at crypto the most, especially when I'll give you example of Bitcoin. So 2011, you could reach thousands of percentage of return. Today you cannot reach it anymore. Because whoever
But you
hopes
can buy
for,
a hack too, and you can.
whoever hopes for $1 million dollar in Bitcoin, I mean, it might reach at some point in a
It
few.
goes down right now.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, because of its size, it all depends on the size. So like even Nvidia now, like company or like Bitcoin, it cannot even grow like double because at a certain point the size is so big, and that's when the diminishing returns start. And so,
That's a good point too. Yeah, when it's too big, it's like literally can't grow any bigger. It's like you
Yeah.
put when you push.
But that's
blow
also a
into
mental model
balloon.
that you have, because if you're gonna look at Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, any big
Yeah.
company in the world,
and then you can set your
include
expectations
Bitcoin.
correctly.
Yeah, but this is,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, it's, again, this is a mental model that you have, which is not true. Because Bitcoin can easily double or triple or 10 times itself. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. Because when Bitcoin was on $2,000, people would not imagine it would be a $2,000. Definitely not on $70,000.
Yeah, I mean that's
Also,
true.
and same for Nvidia. No one would imagine Nvidia goes that high, or Apple goes that high, or Microsoft goes that high. So there's no,
Market cap.
it's gonna go until X. It's also a mental
Sure.
structure.
So, I'm gonna kind of just go on to the next one, just for sake of time. So, productivity now. There's a lot of productivity systems out there, a lot of different kinds. One of them that I really like to use is just a simple task database that, for getting tasks done. So I'll have the week, today, agenda, calendar.
Did I miss well-being?
We haven't done that yet, don't worry. I'm not going in this order. This is not.
That happens, me too,
Just check it.
Blink an eye, done.
It's gonna be your time to shine.
Okay, so this is what
Think
you
of
can
Pete.
call a task database.
Should go, man.
This is what most people can do to create so their priorities for inside of their work. So we have these little sections here. So you have what you've completed this week, what you've completed today, what is your agenda, what's on your to-do list, what's just on the calendar. And then could be your teaching, your business, and then you could be like a different business or your side hustle. Don't have more than two. It's just, this is one or two focuses is the best. So what you're gonna have is this agenda is gonna be listed up with things. The ones up here on the top, they're the most priority, the highest priority. And then what you can do is then eventually after, you can find tools out there that you can then move this, you can just drag it, and then you'll be like, okay, this is the thing that I did today. And then there's gonna be other things on here that is on your calendar, and other things that are on your focus 1 and other on the focus 2. And so then eventually, okay, this is the number 1 importance, this is the number 1 importance. Okay, I've gotten to the points where I am in my flow and I'm ready to do this, so now I can move this into my agenda.
To my agenda or to my to-do?
That's the to-do. Agenda is another word for to-do.
So what's on the left?
Today.
Ah, okay.
What I completed today.
Okay.
What I completed today, what I completed this week.
Mhm.
And if you want, put over here what you completed for the month. Then you can have something that's okay, where you, after all the week, can take all of these and just drag it into the month and start to see, you get to have this little dopamine for when you get to achieve things. This is a very good system to be able to be more, it's similar to the Eisenhower matrix, it's similar to just any priority task database system. Because a lot of times, but also going back to this, knowing your what, who, how, now, this is the now. This is where you gotta look at. So all your systems, like Nicola has been talking about, the mental models are the things that's kind of your base. It's like the structure for everything. But there's going to be everything else that flows in between, because decisions are gonna be involved, and there's gonna be other things that you wanna prioritize inside your life. You could have even on your agenda, like I wanna work out. So that's like, but using something that's productive, like a system like this, is very, very helpful. What other productivity systems do you guys use out there? Because there's Notion, there's Trello.
I do Todoist.
Todoist.
Todoist is good, I used to use it before. But for example, a Google Calendar can be really good enough.
Yeah.
So you don't need to set every
Time
day,
blocks, right?
like you don't need to set everyday things. So you can just set it repeatable every day, because the actions that we repeat actually become our habit and become our identity. So that way you can even cut certain steps and just automate your decision. Okay, when I work, when I don't know, go to bed, when I do XYZ.
Yeah. It's time blocking.
Yeah.
You're blocking your time out for a set, like I have this I'm gonna do today, and I'll have this I'm gonna do today. And it then becomes in routine. But what happens is sometimes, you have these in your calendar, but you don't do them.
But that's why
Sometimes,
It's happened to me. It's happened to me plenty of times before.
That's why it's not.
I actually ditched the whole calendar thing, because it gave me so much stress. I just follow my gut feeling.
Yeah.
So
Instead of
this
like,
is where we're
I'm
going to
now, do
create
it
this
now,
whole
do the rest
template.
later. and
This
it
is
will
where,
be
because
more
the question
repetition for me.
it's really important to have these
Yeah.
understood.
Because maybe I've been in so much stressful situation, like I don't want to have all these fixed things.
Yeah,
So we do
that
on
was
the calendar, it
just
says
the
like remind myself to swipe it away. So if I just put in my mind like to do this for today, 4 things, that's enough. And often I do 10, so I'm done for the whole week. So I don't put them all, because it drives me crazy.
I couldn't have all that admin in my life either.
And maybe it's already out of date already, because I worked in very stressful jobs. You have to do that. So I think
This is the
it's
system we've created.
like a mental model, it's so
Yes,
habit.
exactly.
So I don't need to do that.
You've created a mental model in your
Yeah.
head where you're already
Same when you-
consistently doing a system.
Traveling a lot, you don't have to have a list for packaging, because you already know what's gonna be in there. Because you travel a lot, you just take everything you have with you as one backpack. So you don't even think what you're taking, it's just like everything in there, that's all I have. So it makes it such a habit, so like, today, week, month, focus, no, thank you.
So, I'm just gonna share this with you guys. Inside of my community, I don't know if you guys ever have created a budget for yourself, but I have an entire budget sheet in here. This is a very, very helpful thing that I've used for years and years, for understanding what I spend every week, every month, every year, what is inside my business, a yearly output. I put this in here because this is also understanding, because productivity also has to do with finances and what you spend. So it's very, very helpful to have your budget system in place. One thing, I'm just gonna move on to well-being. And this is what I want to create with you guys. I want to create an ideal morning and evening routine. Okay? Because everyone has their kind of their ideal morning and their ideal. I don't know if anyone actually has. Does anyone have a wind down routine? Evening routine?
I don't. I have system for it. So I was just telling John when we came. So there are certain things I travel with. So I travel with infrared light. So I take at 8:30 is turned on automatically. I use Google Assistant and so that's the signal that I should wind down. So for my laptop and phone, there are certain times when I cannot use apps, so it's blocking automatically. I cannot even access to them. So at 9 a.m. p.m. most of the things are already shut down. I couldn't even access them.
What app is that?
Opel?
What app is that?
Opel?
I'm interested.
App block. I use a few. One Focus for Mac. For Android, there is a really good one called Stay Focused. I can send them.
Yeah, for sure. Send it inside.
They're amazing because you cannot even unblock them. So that's the magic.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you can't do anything.
Because you don't spend your will to
Share.
control the impulses. Like,
Yeah.
and
It's completely binded.
I've been using it, I think, for 10 years now.
Yeah, it's very, very
Oh
helpful.
my god, it's so helpful. So you don't need to spend your full will to
Mhm.
control impulses.
Yeah, that's
So-
what we know WhatsApp, it's 24/7.
Yeah,
The
and
people of the world, yeah.
and then I would do a little bit yoga, breathing, and then
This
go
is
to
in the
bed.
evening, right?
Yeah, evening.
Who has good morning routines here?
Snoozing the alarm.
I do my
I
first,
went to yoga every morning.
Yoga as well?
Yeah.
first thing I do when I wake up,
I like having-
count my blessings. Second thing, I do my first set of 50 push-ups.
Ooh.
Nice.
You sure?
Absolutely. I do 200 a day.
Show us.
200 a day?
One set of 50, yes.
Stretching.
Yeah.
Stretching is yoga.
No, it's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not the same.
Jumping jacks.
Oh, I love them, with resistant bands.
It's actually good, yeah.
Whoa.
Who has a really unique morning routine?
Watch sunrise.
Watching sunrise, yeah.
That's really-
If waking at 5 a.m. is.
Why are you looking at me?
Make the George
You were telling something about well-being.
Got anything over here? Any good morning routines?
Celery juice.
What is yours?
Celery juice?
Oh, swimming in the ocean.
First thing in the morning?
Yeah.
No interaction with people.
After.
Oh, yeah. I like that one.
You remember my lemon squeezer? I take 2 lemons every morning with ginger and.
And squeezing their eyes.
Oh,
You
wow.
should read it next time.
Yeah, I'll show you. It's good.
Take
So,
a video, post it in.
This is for you to take account into what is the best morning routine for me. You need to have a morning routine and you need to have an evening routine. It's like, you can look at, Alex Hormozi, he talks about, oh, you don't need a morning routine and all this type of thing. You can push yourself and just kind of like be groggy throughout the day, but
I
You
think,
can do
but I
that
think
to
it's
try
everything
to
about
let go.
probability.
yeah.
It's about probability. So let's say there is a system and house. So what's the probability of succeeding which area? So I think I know what he was saying, I was listening to that video, that you don't need systems. He said that people throughout the decades, achieved great things without having any productivity morning routine. But I think there is a high probability of succeeding in something if you have a system.
Yes.
Look, Elon Musk.
Who's that?
Yeah, and you know what his morning routine is?
He's zero.
Is like Coca-Cola and just a little bit of.
He doesn't sleep. You know, he works
He
like
sleeps on his
40
couch
hours a
in the
day.
same in the same clothes.
Yeah, using his body.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes it depends, you know, like he's kind of genius.
But okay, I want to save time for the other things as well. So idea is to create an evening routine and create a morning routine.
But
okay?
how do you, because I had a lot
Do you
of times
commit
in
to
my
it?
life that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do a morning routine and
Yes.
an evening routine.
We're
and
gonna
then
get to this.
Alright.
We're gonna get to this. This is actually because okay, you guys want to skip growth development and just go into designing your system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, skip well-being.
Well, then go to a vegan.
We just did it.
We just did it. That was well-being. It's
You were
because you
awake.
can also do
Yeah.
exercises.
But we're recording everything, so you
It's
have
just
to.
like you have to have the thing about well-being is just what you have to have is called non-negotiables. Something you don't negotiate with yourself with, right? It's just a self-care checklist. You're ensuring that I'm fully taking care of myself.
I know some people that don't
No
check their
negotiating.
phones until 10 a.m. They don't leave their phone in their room.
Yeah,
So it's
really
perfect.
good.
Good thing.
Really, really good.
They're airplane mode, right?
I use
I do airplane
AppBlock.
mode.
I use AppBlock. I cannot access before 9
Man, I do the same
Oh, that's
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's create a system here. So what I want you to do is I want you to first pick an area out of these 5 that is most important to you. We can talk about growth. I mean, growth is basically just understanding your goals and reviewing and assessing and making sure that you're taking notes and then just like learning. You're becoming smarter, right? You're just becoming more wise. So what I want you to do is pick an area. Pick an area that's most important to you. I want to make better decisions. I want to have a better mental model. Okay, this one is obviously like the one that ties into everything. But you could be at a state where it's like, okay, I can focus on this, but I want to have better decisions as well. This will both be applied. Well-being, productivity, or growth, right? So what you're going to do is you're then going to write down what it is that you're going to focus on, that area, okay? What's your goal for that area, or the objective? And inside this goal and objective, then you have like, what is the outcome? So these are the things that is most important for understanding your area first. What is my goal? I just want you to write these down. You don't need to have, like, we're not going to go through them because we're not going to have enough time to actually write and create it. But the actual questions of what's important is the thing that is what you want to pay attention to. So what's this area that I'm focusing on? What's the primary goal and the objective? And what's the outcome that I'm looking for this specific area of the mental model? What's the well-being, the productivity, the growth? This is just something that's really important to understand because you have to come back to why you started. It's the thing that's like the foundation. Why did I do this? Okay? What is the objective here? This is step 1. Step 2 is identifying the core values and principles. We'll do it here. So you'll notice that for these templates, for this template, for all of these areas, it's just questions that you're asking yourself. It's basically getting into understanding how committed you are and really like what's important to me. So for the second part, what are the core values related to this area? What are my core values here? You may think that this is too much, honestly, but it's actually very, very important. Like, what's the influence? Okay, so how do these values here influence you? And then what's the priority for the values that are applying inside of the area here that we just talked about? So, do I want to have a better mindset? It's similar to the outcome, but what's the main objective, the priority? These are very tied together, but values and the influence of the priorities here is most important, okay? So inside of that, after this, you have just a basic understanding, okay, my values, I have an understanding of what I'm aligned with. You then have to start to take action. I'm gonna draw this over here. Yeah, we got it recording. So, step 3 is actually taking the action steps. This is probably the thing that's most important. Right, so what specific actions are you going to take? Am I going to, what are my specific routines for my evening? Am I going to do the red light thing?
Infrared light.
Infrared, yeah, right? What am I actually doing inside of this area? How am I gonna make these decisions? What kind of decisions am I trying to make? What kind of health am I trying to improve on? What are the actions that I need to take? And so then how often am I taking them? And then what tools do I need? Do I have everything already? Do I need a yoga mat, right? Do I need a system of a productivity tool like Notion or Trello, whatever it is? Whatever tools or other resources that you need. Okay? Step 4 is the schedule. Okay, we're moving this. What are you committing to? This is the schedule you're committing to. Okay. So, this is obviously, again, we talked about how often, but how you're going to integrate this into your schedule. How to put it into your schedule. Where is it going to go in your day, in your week? Is it going to go on Monday? Is it going to go on Monday at 2 o'clock? Because you need to know how often on Monday to do it once a week, 2 times a week, okay? And then, how are you going to ensure consistency? How am I going to be consistent? This is a really, really big question. Because this is probably where a lot of, I've messed up so many times, is just falling short of the consistency. I've had these time blocks in place, and yet I still would not commit to it. It's because I wasn't consistent with it. But how will I make sure that I'm consistent? We can have a complete topic on this some other day about consistency, but you have to answer this for yourself right now. And then basically it's just, the last one is, how am I going to continuously improve? It's like you want to have a system, not just like a strict plan. It's going to go with the flow. It can't be so strict, because this is not just, it doesn't work like that. Things show up. So you have to be able to come back and say, okay, how am I going to reevaluate this? I'm going to reevaluate what's my motivation going to be at the lowest point. And then how can I get feedback and support? Okay, so these are the 5 steps that you want to do. These goals, these questions that are being asked inside. Again, I know it's very brief, and I'm going to put this inside the recap as well, because it's hard to write down all, there's a bunch of questions that have to go into it. But this is how you create a really strong system for any of these areas, any of these 5 areas. And what, these questions that you are asking yourself, these are the things that are the important part about it, because otherwise it's just okay, I'm just gonna do this. And what happens when something shows up? What happens when you don't have time? And it's hard to just be okay, I'm gonna make this and be so strict about it. And then all of a sudden something comes up, and then you get down on yourself for not doing that same thing over and over. but understanding the principles of your decisions, it's like that could be one of the goals that you want to get down. Okay, so how often, what are the values that I'm influenced by? Like, what is important to me for making these principles? Okay, so then what actions am I going to take whenever I involve? Am I going to write down my principles after all the decisions? How often am I going to do that? After every one? Okay, sure. What other tools and resources do I need? Okay, so then how am I going to evolve this into my week? Okay, on Sundays, I'm going to write this down. On Sundays, I'm going to write this down, and then I'm going to be consistent, and this is how I'm going to be consistent. If I fall short for 1 week, it's okay. I'll make that. That's another thing I can write about. It's a decision that I can make as well. I didn't choose, so it's like, again, a thing that I can write about. And then the reframe, and how do I reevaluate? How do I get, I said emotion, I meant to say motivation, but how can I get motivated again to keep doing this? And what do I do at the lowest point? How can I continuously get feedback and support to make sure that I don't fall short of this? And so, this is the template. Again, I'll put this inside of the community in the recap. I see that there's a lot of faces here that are like, oh, wow, this is kind of a lot. So,
I think you talk too much.
yeah, that's why I said today it's gonna be.
We need more games.
Oh,
Yeah.
the games.
We need more games.
Where is the peanut butter and jelly game?
I don't have any games today. It's very hard to talk, like create games for
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
this. This is a topic that
And we have
is.
so many people
Wanna play?
playing,
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah.
I think to play.
Yes.
Play.
I mean, we can create our own game.
Sorry.
But okay, so this is basically what we've created here.
It's
So
my mind.
there isn't much to use as a game. The simple activities of creating your morning routine, and the evening routine. There's little things to do, but today was a lot about just creating a system and having an open. I know I was talking a lot, but also at the same time, I wanted to create a little bit of discussion as well. But this is just for this topic specifically.
So
And-
next Sunday we play games.
So next Sunday,
I mean, you can ask ChatGPT, say what inputs we have, and give us some games to play.
I use ChatGPT.
Yeah, so
I
based on that, based on
Everybody uses
inputs,
it.
and
I use it to
Oh,
help me
yeah.
create
It's not
these
easy.
boot camps sometimes and help me create activities. It's very, very helpful, but the games are really boring.
That they give.
And it's more boring than me talking, just saying.
It's pretty.
So, I know there was a lot that was said today, but you guys, there's a lot of stuff that I saw people wrote down. And I hope it's as helpful.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of just sitting there right now, and that's the idea. Don't necessarily think too much about what we talked about. Just let it sit there and let it digest. You know, it doesn't need to go. You may think it went one ear and out the other, but it's sitting there. It went somewhere in there, and it's just it's just.
but maybe you're accepting that this is going to take, years to make
Yes.
systems. It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's a very boring process.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a very, very
James
boring
Clear in his book Atomic Habits talk about the fact that we always fall to our systems. So it is important to have a system to follow because that's your baseline. That's where you fall to. Or when you fall below, that's where you get back to.
Mhm. Exactly. But it's really hard to create them.
It's hard.
And it's a long process. It takes months, takes years, takes time,
Yeah,
takes
but I
dedication.
think that what you do, like what works best for me is to do a very small thing that is so small and stupid
Mhm.
that it's so small
Could
that
you
it's
call
gonna
it?
be easy to do it, and it's gonna be the same amount of easy not to do it. So there's nothing to think about. And I have the tendency to be very extreme, as you already know. That I'm pushing myself to I'm gonna do 150,000 missions a day, and I do it for 2 days, and then I'm overwhelmed, and I'm
Right, and that's
That's
why
the
it's like,
problem.
this is where you need to talk to yourself about how am I gonna stay consistent?
Yeah, yeah.
How am I gonna reassess and where's my motivation gonna come from? You know, you talked to me about this the other day with the motivation, and motivation isn't it doesn't need to be such a big deal. However,
when
huh?
when
Last week
in the set in here.
in Loving Vegan. something like that. We talked about the just motivation. You said there was a TED Talk that you watched about it. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, motivation is very it's yeah, exactly, it's fickle, but it's still very important as
Of
well.
course, it's fuel.
Yeah, right. It's your fuel. It's your ignition. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
the drive.
100%.
It's where you.
But the question is, what the motivation is not a problem. How do you proceed when you have no motivation?
Right. That's
Why?
consistency.
Why is very powerful.
This is the whole format. It's like you jump back to it. Okay, why did I start in the first place? What was my priority? Okay, and do I resonate with those values in the first place? Like right now, I'm in a position in my life where I've finally gotten to a place where I've been able to hold myself financially, and my goals were just money, freedom, and love. And it's like those things I'm not really motivated by anymore. And so now I have to reevaluate that. I have to look at things differently and say, okay, maybe I'm not aligned with it anymore, so what is the new motivation? And this is like, because if I don't have that, and that once was my motivation, now I'm like, I just don't feel like wanting to do it. And then that's obviously going to be the reason why I'm not consistent and why I'm not doing things.
What about like when you cannot find motivation?
Then you still have to just take action. It's like, when we talked about this in a few workshops ago with the cycle of action, and it starts with the thought, the feeling, the action, and then after you take the action, you get motivation and inspiration from that. You get inspiration and motivation by taking action.
It's true.
But you know, that's sometimes hard because you want to have motivation before.
Yeah.
But the truth is that like success comes from doing stuff even when you don't have motivation. That's because to do stuff when you have motivation easy because you have motivation.
Come to why are you doing this?
Basically, yeah, sometimes my why can be very strong and I'm still gonna be that alpha. For me.
Yeah, there's a lot we can talk about.
But I think for consistency, you need to eliminate distractions first.
Yes. Of course.
Because let's say you wake up, and then you have access to WhatsApp, Instagram, and everything, and then
You're not
you fall
consistent.
apart of your consistency.
Shorts.
All of a sudden you cannot be consistent anymore because
Consistent with Instagram.
I'm consistent with snoozing.
Snoozing, yeah. I snooze.
Yeah, you can. This is the habits, right? This is what systems are. It's habits, it's routines, and it's tools. So that's what you're creating. That's what this whole conversation was about today. If you want to talk to me more, and we can like kind of like dive into you, that's what I'm here for. I'm a coach, self-mastery coach. I keep working on this, and I try to develop myself and the people around me. Everyone here, I appreciate you coming today. It was really, really amazing. And thank you for listening to me talk my head off. And next week, I'm actually going on a little retreat to Dalat. So not going to be here next week, but the week after that, we will be back, and we will have...
What about consistency?
Dang it, George! You got me there. No, I'm just kidding. You see, this is what I talk about, like with the flow, right? Sometimes you can't always be consistent. It's like just like show up the
Just
next
go with the
day.
flow.
Give him a break, come on.
That's what I do as well. I'm leaving Vietnam for a few weeks, so. Yeah.
What is the retreat? What are you gonna do in the retreat?
I don't know.
No, but what is about the retreat?
Oh, is that the one 3 days, no phones, no anything?
No,
I think
it's over. That one is over.
I wanted to go to the
Me too, I wanna go
Yeah,
next time. I'm gonna.
I think they are coming back today. I think he has class, yeah?
Yeah, Kirill does have class soon, but
That's enough. Another, it is digital, you can use phones there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, take pictures.
Yeah, that's all it is. Just take pictures.
So,
Are you
yeah.
going, Sasha?
I'm organizing, yeah.
Yeah, so guys, just use frameworks, don't use fixed plans. I really appreciate you guys all coming today. I really like, again, I know it was not fun listening, but it's going to be important.
I'm gonna continue until it goes.
If you want to join inside the community, I'm going to post the entire recap, the recording, and then all of this entire frame as well, this little template. It's going to be inside the community. It's It's free to join. We have discussions inside of there and recaps of the entire thing. And Nicola can post whatever he was talking about earlier. I forgot what that was. The apps. Yeah, it's you can just message me and we can get you on there.
I'm gonna get you a QR code for that shit.
QR code?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be cool.
I'll get you.
Yeah. For the workshop here, just leave a donation on the plate next to the Mr. Buddha, the Buddha person. Buddha head. Mrs. Buddha, whatever it is. Just leave your donation on the plate. You can leave whatever you'd like, and just to be able to hold this space.
500K.
Recommended. $1 million, $2 million, whatever it is. You can donate whatever. Donate your love. So, thank you guys for coming. I'll see you. Just give me back the pens. Leave your pens also up there. Don't take my pens. I want to take a photo as well.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.